This is the tutorial for multiplying with decimals. Most of you were really close at doing this just fine. It's just, it seemed like the issue that came up was confusing the add and subtract with decimals rule with the multiply with decimals rule. So probably the best way for me to help you separate it is if you think about the difference between elementary school and middle school. Adding and subtracting is a very easy math skill that we learned way back when we were in elementary school. And when you go from place to place with your class in elementary school, you walk in a very straight line, and the elementary school kids get lined up in a very straight line. But when you get to middle school, multiplication is a little bit more difficult than add or subtract, so we'll call it a middle school thing, even though I know you learned it in elementary, but let's just say it's a middle school thing. And so it's for older kids. And multiplication with decimals doesn't need to line up. They just kind of hang out at one side. And when we go from class to class or from place to place on the campus, usually we don't worry about lining up on a straight line and walking on the yellow line on the ground. We just kind of go together in a blob. So multiplication doesn't have to be all lined up very precisely. You just kind of line it up along the edge. So let's do a we do, oops, need my pen. We do number 1 into your worksheet. And that one we're doing 2.42 times 1.3. Okay, so in addition, we were worrying about making sure that decimal lined up right underneath and the ones place lined up with the ones place, but we don't do that with multiplication. That just isn't how it works. So I look, and multiplication is commutative, which means that you can go in any order that you want. So I always look at how many digits I have. I didn't want the pen there, I wanted my pointer. I always look at how many digits I have. There's 1, 2, 3 digits and 1, 2 digits. And the one that has the most digits I put as the top number, and then the one with the least digits I put as the bottom number, because that bottom number tells you how many rows have to be multiplied beneath it. And I want as few rows as I have to do. So I'm going to take the 2.42, copy this with me as I go, and right below it I'm going to put the 1.3, and so notice that with multiplication I just lined up the edges here, but my decimals are all in a blob right there, you know. They're not lined up precisely, ones with ones. It's all just kind of hanging out at the wall there. Okay, so middle schoolers do that. Okay, then I just multiply like normal and I completely ignore those decimals. I do not even look at them until I get down to a final answer. So I'm going 3 times 2, which is 6. 3 times 4, which is 12. Do the carryover. 3 times 2, which is 6, plus that 1, which is 7. I have finished with the 3. It takes me 1 hop to get to the 1. So if it's 1 hop, it's 1 peat. And then I do the 1. 1 times 2, which is 2. 1 times 4, which is 4. 1 times 2, which is 2. Still, I'm ignoring those decimals. And remember I said 2 digits down here means 2 rows, 1, 2. If I had put this on bottom, I would have had to have 1, 2, 3 rows because it's got 3 digits. And now I just add those up. 6, 2 plus 2, 4, 7 plus 4, 11, and 2 plus the 1 carryover is 3. And now I can look at my decimals. So I count, this is over into, I had the hundredths place covered here, so it's 1, 2 spots over for that. And this one is 1 spot over for that, for a total of 3 spots. Now one of the things I noticed on people's tests is they were just going ahead and putting the 3 there like it was part of the answer. No, don't put that there. I'm just putting this number here for your brain to see that that's how many you're counting in. So it's counting in 1, 2, 3 spots, and put your decimal there. So the answer is 3.146. Let's do we do 2. Okay, and I did this one this way. It's 1.2 times 3.27. I did this one this way to kind of help you understand what I was saying about the amount of digits on these. With addition and multiplication, they're both called commutative, which means that it doesn't matter what order. You can start with this one and then multiply that one by it, or start with this, add it, or you can start with this one and do the other and add the other one to it, or multiply the other one to it. Just be careful that you recognize that subtraction is not commutative. If it's in a specific order, it stays in that order. And division is the same. It's not commutative. You have to stay in the order. But addition and subtraction are a little bit more flexible. So knowing that, I'll get the same answer if I put this on top as I would if I put it on bottom. I'm going to look at how many digits I have. I have 1, 2 digits for this number, and I have 1, 2, 3 digits for that number. Well, the second number, remember over here, tells me how many rows I have to multiply. Instead of multiplying out 3 rows because of these 3 digits, I'm going to put this number on bottom. So here I go. I'm going to have 3.27 as my top number, and 1.2 lined up along the wall, hanging out on the wall over here, instead of worrying about lining up my decimals. Remember, middle schoolers, we hang out on the wall. Okay. And now I just multiply like normal, completely ignoring my decimals. 2 times 7 is 14. And just really try to be nice and neat about this. That's a really important thing with decimals. 2 times 2 is 4, plus that one more is 5. 2 times 3 is 6. I have finished with the 2. It's one hop over to get to the 1, so I'm going to put 1 Pete. 1 times 7 is 7. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. 4. 7 plus 5 is 12. 6 plus 2 is 8, plus the carryover 9, and 3. And now just the part about counting in my decimals. This decimal went in 2 spots, 2. And this decimal went in 1 spot, 1. That's a total of 3 spots. So that goes in 1, 2, 3. Right there, 3.924. So $1.20 multiplied by 3.27 times is going to be $3.924. Okay, now for you do number 1. Go ahead and write that down. Push pause and go through to get the answer. And then push play when you have an answer so you can see how you did. Okay, so I'm going to do this one now, and I'm actually going to do this 2 ways. You only had to do it 1, but I'm just going to show you that because some of you might have put one number on top and some of you might have put the other number on top. It's okay, since multiplication is commutative, you could do that. Some people might have said, all right, 4.3 times 2.64, middle schoolers hanging out along the wall. But some of you might have done 2.64 because it has 3 digits there, times 4.3, middle schoolers still hanging out along the wall. So I'm going to be doing it both ways, so I'll just multiply pretty quickly here. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16, plus that 1 is 17. And that takes care of that first row. 1 across. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24, plus that 1 carryover is 25. I don't have anything to carry it over to. 2 spots over. 1, 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. And then add it all up. Notice that 1, 2, 3 digits on that bottom number meant I have 1, 2, 3 rows. Because one row for this guy, 1 row for this guy, 1 row for this guy. And when I add them all up, I get 2. 7 plus 8 is 15, carry over. 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 1 is 12, plus carryover is 13. 8 plus 2 is 10, plus the carryover is 11. Now I can count up my decimals. There's 1 in here, and then 2 more in here for a total of 3 spots. 1, 2, 3. There it is. 11.352. Now real quickly I'm going to show you that if you did it in the reverse order with multiplication, it's going to be okay. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 6 is 18 plus 1 is 19. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. 1 spot in. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 6 is 24 plus 1 is 25. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 2 is 10. 2 rows here, or 2 digits here meant only 2 rows there. Now I just add them up. 2, 9 plus 6 is 15. 7 plus 5 is 12 plus 1 is 13. 1 plus 0 is 1, and then that 1 left is 1. Count my decimals in. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It goes right there. Same answer, because multiplication is commutative is the word I've been saying. It can go in either order and you're still going to get the same answer. Okay, and you do number 2 is 4.32 times 18. That's like saying $4.32 times $18 and 0 cents. So if you don't see a decimal there, don't worry. It's there. It's just hanging out there in the shadows, so it's all right. You're just counting no ways in. So when you count those decimals, when you finish out, it's 1, 2, and then no more spots. So go ahead and pause the video, multiply this out, and then check your answer with mine. Okay, so you have some sort of an answer. Let's see how you did. We have 4.32 times 18. I chose to put 4.32 on top because it has 1, 2, 3 digits as opposed to the 2 over here. So 2 digits down here means 2 rows down here. And I just lined them up. Middle schoolers line them up against the wall there. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24 plus 1 is 25. 8 times 4 is 32 plus 2 more, 34. That takes care of the 8. I'm 1 step over to get to the 1, so 1 placeholder. 1 times 2 is 2, 1 times 3 is 3, 1 times 4 is 4. I love when it's a 1 there. Add them all up. 6, 7, 7, 7. And count your decimal spots. 1, 2, and none. So it's just a total of 2. 1, 2, and there's my decimal. That should have been your answer. If you're understanding this okay, go ahead and go on to the practice problems. If you are still needing some help, then go ahead and see me about it and we'll see if we can straighten things up for you.